Good morning, Campbell McCrary here, Amvest Capital in New York City. Welcome to the Amvest Capital Inc. live webinar with Kenorland Minerals Ltd. Kenorland trades on the venture as KLD. We hope you'll enjoy today's program. It will also be available in replay mode. We'd love to have your questions. Please send them in the control panel and the question pane, and we'll ask them in real time. Amvest, of course, is a New York-based specialist investment management and corporate finance firm focused solely on the natural resource sector. And please note, this call is most definitely for informational purposes only. Please read this carefully. Presenting today is Zach Flood, President and CEO and Director of Kenorland, and Francis McDonald, the Executive Vice President of Exploration. So very pleased to have much of the technical group here, and we're going to do a deep dive. I can see your presentation, Zach, and I'm going to give you the floor. Take all the time you need.
All right, thanks a lot, Campbell. Thanks everyone for joining this morning. We're going to go through basically our exploration activities this year that probably won't spend too much time on the background of the company, and then we can talk about, I'm going to pass it on to our Executive Vice President of Exploration, Francis McDonald, who's joining us as well, to discuss the drill program we announced yesterday at our gold discovery in northern Quebec, which is in joint venture with Sumitomo Metal Mining, and some other activities that are happening up in Alaska right now. All right, just you know, as a reminder, Kenorland Minerals is obviously an exploration company. We started this company in 2016. It was private for around 4 years. We went public at the beginning of this year and started trading on the venture exchange in January. So relatively new to the public markets, but we've been around for a long time. Really technically focused group. You know, our goal is to go out and make discoveries of new mineral deposits. We've kind of proven that up in northern Quebec, and we have a number of other opportunities set up that we're exploring currently that are at that discovery stage as well. So we focus our efforts mainly in North America. Quebec and Alaska is largely where most of our activities are located. This year we started out with about $10 million cash in the treasury. Right now we've got about $7 million working capital. We're well into a drill program up in Alaska, and as I mentioned, just kicked off another drill program in Quebec at the Frotep project, which is the joint venture with Sumitomo Metal Mining. We've got over 400,000 hectares of mineral tenure between these jurisdictions, Alaska, Quebec, and Ontario. This year, we have about 7 million sole-funded exploration and 10 million partner-funded exploration plans. So that's $17 million going in the ground, drilling 2 discovery stage projects, Frotep and Healy up in Alaska. And we're well funded to complete all this exploration this year, and we look forward to announcing results throughout the fall from all this summer activities. Just to touch base on the share structure, so there's 46 million shares out basic, 56 fully diluted. In terms of ownership here, we're looking at about 51% owned by management and insiders, so it's pretty tightly held there. Institutional ownership sits at around 11%, including 3 of the Quebec-based funds, TSX, FTQ, and STBJ. Close associates is about 15%. Those individuals have supported the company since we were private many years ago throughout. And retail's at about 23%. So very tightly held. We've got a lot of you know, really supportive shareholders on the registry, including Sean Tognetti, who's the chairman of Haywood Securities and our largest individual shareholder. Paul Stevens is a well-known generalist investor out of the U.S. there. And Peter Meredith was a longtime director of Kenorland. He's an advisor now, and he's a director of Ivanhoe Mines. And a number of other individuals who are pretty well known in the space there. So I'll just get right into it. This is a map of our project locations in North America. I'll touch on 3 of these. 2 of them up in Alaska, Taurus, which is a advanced stage gold-rich porphyry copper project, which is 100% owned right near the border of Yukon and Alaska there. And in the Good Pasture District near Pogo there, we have the Healy project, which we optioned from Newmont. And we're carrying out the initial maiden diamond drill program, testing that gold system up there. So that's pretty exciting. And then over in Eastern Canada, we've got one project that's kind of the flagship, which is the joint venture with Sumitomo at Frotette. We just announced the start of a 20,000 meter drill program to follow up on a high-grade gold discovery we made there last year. A number of other projects. The Jacoby project is optioned to Sumitomo as well. Shabistawan is optioned to Newmont. 2 other 100% owned projects in the Abitibi-O'Sullivan and Hunter. And then we recently acquired and staked the South Uchi project in the Birch Uchi Greenstone Belt of Ontario. So some of this is pretty greenfields, some of it kind of at that initial drill stage, some of it more advanced. So we like to keep a pipeline of earlier stage projects that we can feed into the portfolio there and advance as we go along. I'm just going to talk about the actual kind of detail of the exploration that we're carrying out right now this summer. So at the Healy project, we have a 4,000 meter maiden diamond drill program. You can see that's Healy there. It's 18,400 hectares up in the Good Pasture district. The Good Pasture is obviously well known for Pogo, which is owned by Northern Star, an Australian producer. It's about a 10 million ounce total endowment. It's produced about 4 million ounces to date, right along the Alaska Highway there. And then as you go towards the border of the Yukon, we have the Taurus project, which is a more advanced stage porphyry copper system, which we own 100% of. This year, we're carrying out soil sampling, mapping, drone mag, and a high-powered Titan IP survey, which is all focused kind of peripheral to the known systems. So it's more kind of brownfields in that sense. And then in Quebec here, this is kind of the rest of the bulk of the activities. Obviously, the Frotette project, which we'll get into great detail going forward here. We have a 20,000 meter diamond drill program that we just announced yesterday. We've got follow-up on a few regional target areas. Most of that's geochemistry and ground geophysics. The Shabistawan project, so we completed a follow-up geochemical survey early this summer. So that project is being funded by Newmont. We're the operator there. Last year we did a property-wide geochemical survey that covered the entire 160,000 hectare property. This year we're doing follow-up. O'Sullivan sits next to Cartier's Benoit project there, so we plan on doing some follow-up geochemical sampling later this summer. Jacoby, this one's optioned Sumitomo. It sits in the kind of central Abitibi on the Jacoby deformation zone. We've spent over 2 years of doing sonic drill for till here. This year we plan to do kind of probably detailed geophysics and potentially initial diamond drilling in Q4 or Q1 2022. We've got a nice golden till anomaly, coherent anomaly up in the northern end of the property that was a result of 3 phases of systematic geochemical sampling there over the last few years. And then the Hunter project sits north of the 5 million ounce Duparquet system. There we're carrying out a property-wide VTEM survey. It's all under deep cover. It's a felsic caldera complex looking for gold-rich VMS there. So lots of exploration happening in Quebec, a lot of exploration happening in Alaska, some of this very early stage, some of it leading towards drill targets, some of it is more advanced stage drilling, such as the Frotette project. And so here we'll look at the Frotette project. So this one, just to remind everyone, so we staked this in 2017, 56,000 hectares of greenstone belt. We optioned it to Sumitomo Metal Mining in 2018. Between 2018 and 2019, we carried out kind of large-scale systematic till sampling. We collected about 6,000 samples. That resulted in the identification of a very large gold and till anomaly down here in the southern end of the property called Renault. At the time, there was no mineral occurrences down there, no drilling, no known gold occurrences at all. So we carried out the initial diamond drill program in March 2020. We hit 29 meters at 8.5 grams down there on that first program, and a number of other notable hits on that, as well as about 7,800 meters of drilling. We then, the next significant drill program was Q1 of this year. We drilled about 8,500 meters for follow-up there. We hit 5.72 meters at 90 grams per ton on what we're now calling the R1 vein. We've also identified a second vein corridor called R2, and the potential for many other parallel vein sets as well. So we'll get into the detailed geology there. Otherwise, there's a few other areas on the property that we're going to be looking at. So Chantillon, there's mapping, prospecting, infill till sampling, and IP here. Cressida, right along strike of Troilus, we're carrying out mapping, prospecting, infill till sampling, and IP there as well. There's a nice golden soil anomaly up there, right along trend of Troilus. And Lafourche is another area that we're doing the same sort of thing, infill till sampling, lake sediment, and IP, all of this to work up drill targets on these regional target areas. But of course, Renault is definitely our focus here with the 16 to 20,000 meter diamond drill program. So I'll pass it on to our EVP exploration there, Francis McDonald, to get into a little more detail on what Renault is and what we're finding there.
Okay, so this is a zoom into the Renault area, and what we're showing here is the gold in glacial till samples. And so each point is a sample. We're getting high gold values over about 5 kilometers. And so far we've defined gold in bedrock in this yellow outline, intrusive complex. And it looks like the gold is being dispersed glacially down ice from that area. And so within here, you can see where we've drilled within the intrusive complex so far. We've hit gold in about a 2 kilometer strike length of the intrusive complex. So there's lots of places where we could still be hiding some other veins in this area. And how we got into this area was the regional till sampling. We found these high grade boulders within the glacial till dispersion plume, and that's kind of what got us into this area leading up to the first initial drill program. I think one other thing to note is down in the southwest corner of the map here is this black line, and that's the Rue du Nord, which is a gravel highway basically that goes up into the James Bay area. And so we found this new gold deposit, and it's sitting about 3 kilometers off of a major road in Quebec. Okay. So this is looking at the magnetics of the area, and using magnetics, I think, and as well as the drilling, we've defined where the Renault intrusive complex is, and so it's outlined here in yellow again. And then in these white lines, these are magnetic lineaments that are most likely geological structures. And so the Renault intrusive complex is sitting in this area of major east-west deformation or east-west trending structures. And where those structures hit the intrusive rocks, they really start to crack up that intrusive complex. And we think that that's what's controlling the gold mineralization in this area. So it's really two things. It's having the right rocks, which is the intrusive rocks that crack easily, and then having those rocks intrude into that deformation zone. Okay. And so this is a broad geology map where the blue is diorite or intrusive rocks. It's really an intrusive complex, and to get a little bit technical, there are monzodiorites going up into tonalite. So it's quite varied, and some of those internal contacts in the complex seem to control gold mineralization in places. And then the intrusive rocks are surrounded by volcanic rocks that are dacitic to andesitic in composition. Okay. This is looking at the IP survey that we completed in winter of 2020, and this was really one of our major targeting data sets. This is how we came upon this discovery was targeting IP anomalies, which will give you a sulfide signature. So what we're looking for is chargeable areas or sulfidic areas within this intrusive complex, and that's really kind of what's given us some joy so far. And then in the R1 structure, which is the northern zone outlined in red, you can see that there's a chargeable feature that goes all the way across the intrusive complex. Okay. So this is zooming in to where we've drilled so far, and to date we've outlined 2 coherent structures, which we're calling R1 and R2. There are other areas where we've hit significant gold that we don't really understand yet that we can put a polygon around, and we'll be following up on that this summer to hopefully define some new zones in here. And so just looking at R1, some of the notable intersects were 20 RDD 007, that was the initial discovery, 29 meters at 8.5. That was followed up this year with the 5 meters at about 90 grams per ton. And so going out to the west of R1, this is RDD 37, so that hit 25 meters at 6.3 grams per ton. Going down to the south, the R2 structure, we intersected that on the initial drill program where we hit 3.75 meters at 16 grams per ton. And then we've stepped out from there and we've hit a number of other intersects along there. And so some of those would be RDD 15, so that's about 5 meters at 9.5 grams per ton. And so this looks like a completely different vein system. It looks like it's an extensional vein system that the extensional veins are perpendicular to the volcanic intrusive contact. That's out on the western side, and then it seems to switch to a more laminated shear hosted system on the eastern side. So we're still trying to understand the geometry of this. We've started to pin it down, but it's still early days here. I think one of the other things here, so we'll look at this. This is the initial drill program where we, in Q1 of 2020, this is a completely blind discovery. There's no outcrop in the area. We had a team of about 15 people out there looking for outcrop for a week, and we really didn't find anything. So there wasn't really much to go off of except for the geochemistry and the geophysics. And so we targeted the drill program using those data sets. We drilled all of the holes towards the northwest or southeast because there's 2 trends in the geophysics. One is east-west and one is north-northeast. And so we were trying to bisect both of those orientations because we weren't sure which was significant or not. And so we ended up hitting on RDD 007. Okay, go to the next one. And so after this last drill program, we've, I think, pinned down the orientation of these structures, and it's really that east-west orientation that's important so far. And going forward will be, now that we know the orientation of the structure, it's a lot easier to drill it in the right way. So that was, I think, one of the bigger achievements of this last drill program. And so just to go back to those other zones that I was talking about up in the north here, you can see RDD 31. So there's 2 drill holes on one section. In the last drill program, we hit 2.7 meters at about 16 grams. And then in the first drill program, we hit about 2.5 meters at about 10 grams. So this is a new zone up there that we'll follow up on and hopefully define the geometry, and maybe we can put another polygon or zone name around it after the end of this next drill program. Okay. And so this is the current drill program that we just started yesterday, that we just announced. And we have 3 drill rigs operating right now. And this is the drilling so far on the R1 and R2 structures. We still have some meters to play with where we'll be planning some more regional holes and testing completely new targets. But this just gives an idea of where we're drilling and how we'll be drilling it. And I think the big thing here is scale. That's important. And So right now the R1 structure has a defined strike length of about 600 meters, and we'll be looking to expand that to about 800 to 900 meters. And the R2 vein system has a strike length of about 800 meters to 1 kilometer as well. And so we'll be trying to extend that even more on this next drill program. Okay. So this is zooming into R1 and looking at a long section here. And so you can see on the long section the notable intersects where we've hit. And so anything with color is what we've drilled so far to date. And then anything in gray, this is where we'll be drilling on this current drill program. And so you can see the orientate or the pattern that we're going after here. It's about 50 meter centers on all of these drill holes. And the goal at the end of this is to drill it on 50 meter centers down to 250 to 300 meters depth and extend the strike out to about 800 meters. And so at that point, I think we'll have a decent idea of what's here. And after that drill program, ideally, we'll have a better idea of the geological controls. Hopefully, we can start talking about chute orientations and linear geometries. And if we can define some kind of chute, you know, that's something that we would start chasing down dip and down plunge on further drill programs. Okay. And so just to look at some of the rocks to bring it back to the geology and what we're after here. So up in the top left, this is the discovery boulder. This is really the only expression of this system is boulders and gold in the soil. When we see it in the boulders, it looks like what we're hitting in the core. So it's intrusive rock, a diorite with disseminated pyrite and biotite alteration. And then we have some of these core photos here. So it's all a similar story. It's quartz veins that are hosted within these intrusive rocks that have disseminated pyrite in the wall rocks, and there's a couple different styles. So down on the bottom left here, this is more the laminated shear hosted type of veining, where you can see the quartz veining and in the wall rock are all kind of laminated together. And then in the RDD 002, this is more the extensional style veining that we've seen so far.
And I think it's important to point out the extremely high grades that we've encountered in the system. That discovery boulder was 408 grams per ton. That was our first indication that this was a very high grade gold system. The highlight from the last drill program, RDD 024, which hit 5.7 meters at 90 grams. This particular sample ran 257 grams per ton gold in the middle, with quite a bit of visible gold as well. And really high silver grades too. We're getting up to 300 grams per ton silver along with the gold there. And then the 250 meter step out to the west there in RDD 037, this particular sample ran 113 grams per ton gold. So that's a common theme in this system is very high grade gold, which is obviously exciting. And again, just to take it back to that long section, pretty much everything that we've drilled through that plane on the R1 has been, economic in terms of Quebec underground gold mines near infrastructure. So it's a good indication of things to come, I think, and we're super excited to obviously drill this off a little bit more and get a better understanding of what's going on geologically there. Cool, thanks Francis for running us through that. I'm just going to go through just a brief kind of overview of what we're doing up in Alaska here. So to remind you, we have the Healy project with the Maiden Diamond drill program, testing a new gold system up in the Goodpasture district near Pogo, and then the Tanacross project, which is an advanced stage porphyry copper system in eastern Alaska there. Same age as Casino. Casino is a 3 billion ton porphyry system, late Cretaceous, 73 million years old. Tanacross is the exact same age, 68 to 73 million years old, and sits on the same Big Creek fault system, which controls the emplacement of a lot of these mineral systems up through the Yukon. So great places to be geologically. We're very happy with the quality of projects we have up here in Alaska. Tanacross, so Again, this is pretty advanced stage, fairly advanced stage in terms of it's been known since the 70s. There's been a lot of drilling on the known prospects, East Taurus, West Taurus, and Bluff. It's about a 12-kilometer long corridor with 3 known porphyry centers in there. There's about 30 square kilometers of hydrothermal alteration. Some of the best drilling's been at East Taurus, where we see 239 meters at 0.3 copper, 0.23 grams per ton gold, and 0.036 moly. So it is over that kind of 0.5 copper equivalent there, which is decent for the North American Cordillera. And it does look like it's got that calc-alkaline signature with gold credit. So it's a potential for, you know, large systems, large footprints. We did have Freeport funding exploration there for a couple of years in 2018, 2019. They pulled out. They cut a lot of their exploration when the market crashed due to COVID there. We got the project back 100% with a lot of regional data, including this ZTEM survey that we flew. It's a property-wide deep seeing EM technique used in a lot of porphyry exploration globally. You're looking for kind of large conductivity features. That conductivity can be related to hydrothermal alteration. So here we see up in the northern end of the property, just south of East Taurus and West Taurus, there's a large circular anomaly called South Taurus. It's a ring of conductivity surrounding a magpie. I have Pebble up here. There's that time of Pebble at the same scale on the top right. Same signature you see there, the circular ring of conductivity, which could be marking that quartz sericite pyrite alteration you get in the halo of a porphyry system. So the pyrite halo, sometimes it's referred to, that rock will be conductive. So that's what we are, what's what we're seeing on the ground as well. There's a lot of hydrothermal alteration out there. So that's been one area that we're really focusing our efforts. And here you can see a detail of the South Taurus anomaly. It's about 4 kilometers in diameter, large magnetic feature in the middle of it, sitting off to the south of 2 known porphyry centers, East Taurus, which has about 5 mineralized intrusions, and West Taurus, which is more of a single moly porphyry. But the system's very complex and dynamic up there, and we expect that there's going to be other porphyry centers out there. So that's what we're doing here is XRF soil sampling, mapping all on a uniform grid over this entire 6 kilometer by 6 kilometer area. We'll carry out a tighter space drone mag survey in the same grid there, and then 2 lines of Titan IP towards the end of the summer. Those lines will be about 5 kilometers long each and see down to about 1 kilometer depth. So this is all kind of leading towards drill targets, obviously, and there's some other targets on the property that we're following up on as well this summer. And then the Healy project, sitting here in the Goodpaster district. So this is 18,470 hectares we optioned from Newmont in 2018. We've done a number of surface programs to lead up to this initial diamond drill program that we're carrying out this year. The Goodpaster is, again, well known for Pogo, which is a world-class high-grade gold system. It used to be operated by Sumitomo Metal Mining and Tech, then it was Sumitomo, now it's Northern Star. There's only a few other neighbors in the district here, one being Mill Rock and Resolution Minerals around Pogo, and then Tectonic up here just to the north of us at Tibbs. So the ground's pretty tightly held and tied up in the Goodpaster. We believe that we are testing a very significant gold system that's never been drilled before. In fact, there was no mineral occurrences there prior to Newmont staking the ground. They really found this after 2 years of doing regional stream sediment sampling in eastern Alaska. So it's been a huge greenfields technical success so far. Hopefully we can turn it into an economic success. And so this is what all the detailed soil sampling looks like over the Healy target areas. So there's 3 areas, Thor, Bronx, Spike. It's about 5 kilometers from Thor to Spike. Each of these anomalies is about 1 to 2 kilometers long. They're associated with structural features. There's low angle faults in the Goodpaster, and then those are cut by high angle, steeply dipping faults. So this is, a very common structural setting for gold mineralization, including at Pogo and Niosi up in the Richardson. Obviously, we're testing both ideas, the high angle structures and the low angle. The footprint of this gold system is very impressive. On the top left, this is the Healy golden soils, and then in the middle we have coffee there at the same scale and same tenor soil anomalies. So that's almost a 3 million ounce gold system there. And then also in the Yukon, same terrain, same weathering environment. There's Golden Saddle, which is in this white circle. It's a 1.6 million ounce system. So it's got the scale. It was found through that systematic style of exploration that Newmont carried out for multiple years. We're in a great district that has a world-class gold system, and this has never been tested with diamond drilling until we get here. And so this is what we're looking at now. We've got this 4,000 meters planned, sort of a systematic test of Thor, Bronc, and the low-angle structures out here at Spike. We're not just targeting geochemistry. We did do detailed ground geophysics, BLF, MAG, and IP as well. So there's a lot of data that we're targeting off of here. And just to finish off, this is sort of the structural model. So on the top left here, Pogo, again, are these low-angle quartz veins hosted on these low-angle structures. There are high-angle structures around the Pogo area as well. These low-angle features, might only daylight in one area, but the mineralizations could be well concealed, beneath the surface. And obviously you have 10 million ounces sitting up here with very little actually outcropping. And so we're kind of using the same exploration model at Healy here. We see Thor, Bronc, and Spike as expressions of the gold mineralization sort of leaking out into the surface there. But we do see these low-angle structures in the geophysics, mainly the IP, and we are drill testing both the low-angle features and crossing these high-angle features as well. And we believe that there's gold mineralization associated with both of them. So again, testing Thor, Bronc, and Spike this summer. We're about halfway through the drill program up there. And then just to wrap it all up, this is again what the year is looking like. So earlier this year, we finished that 9,000 meter diamond drill program at Renault on the Frotep project. Now we're carrying out this 20,000 meter drill program, which will go well through October into November. And the Healy drill program, we kicked off at the beginning of June there, and that'll carry on through August. And then Tanacross, we're carrying out all this surface exploration as well. And with that, I'll pass it back to Campbell there for any questions.
Yeah, just keep your slides up there. I have a few questions sent in, and then I'll pass it to my colleagues who are also geologists, not myself included. Are there structural lineations?
Where
I'm not sure which project we're referring to.
I guess it's Frotet. So
Frotet. So far, there's not much linear fabric that we see, and I think that's because the intrusive rocks really don't take strain very well. They rather crack than take a fabric, and so there are localized areas in these shear hosted veins where there is fabric, but really we haven't seen much linear lineations at all. There's a few recordings in the volcanic rocks around the margins of the intrusions, but within the intrusives and along the veining, so far there's not much that we've seen.
Okay. Any sense of an ore plunge?
I guess that goes along with the same question from before.
Yeah, same guy.
Plunges follow the lineations, and right now, no, but we do have some kind of ideas that where the structures intersect the internal contacts in the intrusive rocks, that could be a good place where you might pick up a plunge. And so we're working through a lot of that data right now to better define the geology from lithogeochemistry. And then I think on this next drill program, we'll really get a better feel because we really don't have that much information in this area yet. So after this drill program, we'll have a much better idea of the controls and plunges and things like that.
Great work and presentation on Renault. Superior Geological Province has an informal 4-to-1 rule of thumb for depth to strike ratio. With a minimum 650 meter strike length, this would suggest a potential minimum 2.6 kilometer depth extension. Current program to test down to 300 meters. Any plans to test with a Wildcat deep hole in 2021?
That's a good question. We haven't talked about a deep Wildcat hole yet. I think we're focusing on the shallow part first, and that kind of refers back to the last question, to hopefully define a plunge of the ore. And at that point, once we have a bit more geologic information and controls on the mineralization, I think that's when you could see a wildcat starting to creep up.
This person also referenced the project in Ontario near Red Lake. So, any more on that?
Yes, South Uchi. So we've just completed, South Uchi is over here in Ontario. We just completed a LiDAR survey and superficial study of it, came up with a superficial map, and we're kind of in the middle of designing a first pass geochemical program at that property.
We saw the Fox River project transaction in Manitoba. Are there more hidden gem projects in the portfolio?
Yeah, I think we'll see another one coming up. So again, Kenorland's been around for over 4 years now. There's a lot of intellectual property in the company. We've got a lot of great ideas across North America. Obviously, we can't go after them all. We got to prioritize what we do within our own portfolio. But again, we're always looking to add shareholder value and maintain that optionality through the royalty space as well. So yeah, there are other things out there that we've staked and that will bend, for equity positions and a royalty. And I think that is all very accretive to our bottom line.
Right on. I'll pass this over to Stu.
Yeah, thanks for the update and presentation. I guess following on from the sale of the Fox River, is that model, would you, in future deals, would you look at a cash component to help, self-fund the programs to complement the management fees you get on some of the projects?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going to do whatever deal can be done, and that we can get done. Some of these ideas, again, we don't really want to spend a lot of money ourselves. So the Fox River, for example, I think we staked those claims for about $10,000. We did a lot of geophysical work, like reprocessing and targeting on that as well, which definitely added value and advanced the concepts there. But there's things that we don't really have plans to get on the ground for, and those, again, I think with a large equity position and a royalty, there's still lots of upside for us if the partners are successful in their exploration efforts.
Yeah. And how much do you expect to receive in management fees roughly each year? I know it depends on the budget, but
that's a good question. Yeah. This year we're bringing in about $1.2 million in management fees alone.
Yep.
And then we have about $700,000 coming in from Quebec refundable tax credits. So there's about $1.9 million coming into the company this year, which is very significant, and a large amount of that is the management fees. So,
right. That's good. And then at Frotet, have you kind of finalized the dual locations for the upcoming 20,000 meter program?
Yeah. So
we essays that came through.
Yeah, that's what this is showing. So again, this is the initial program in 2020, the follow-up program we did earlier this year, and then those green colors that you see on this map, that's about 14,000 meters, and then the remaining drilling will be testing things like the hits up on the north here. There's a number of significant intercepts outside of R1 and R2 that we'll follow up on as well. But what you're seeing here on this map is the bulk of the drilling and really kind of starting to infill these structures.
Excellent. And do you have all like the drill permits in hand for all your projects for the current?
Yeah, everything's permitted. We've got 3 rigs on site right now at Renault. The first one started pouring yesterday, or actually the first 2, which are on land. We got another one on a barge actually out here on the lake that's just set up last night and should be pouring today, I believe. But yeah, drill permits in hand on this one, and then Healy, we're well underway. We're about 2,000 meters into that program. Yeah.
Great, thanks for that. I'll pass it on to Adam.
Adam,
Here you go, Adam.
we don't hear your audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So yeah, thank you for the presentation. You guys did a pretty good job of really outlining your programs at Renault here. Question at Renault, do the structures, as far as you can tell, extend out beyond the strike, extend out beyond the intrusives, or you haven't tested it yet, or you don't think it does?
It's a good question. I think they probably do, but we haven't tested it yet. And from boulders, we were getting gold, disseminated gold in kind of silicified felsic tuffs. So we know that there's definitely gold in the volcanics. And so eventually I think we'll get there. We'll keep stepping out into the volcanics and see how far that goes.
Yeah, it seems like you mentioned your priority to test down dip to 200 or 300 meters, but it seems to me like it makes, well, first of all, do the structures, do the gold hits, obviously you found gold in soils, but presumably these structures, come up to the surface. So this is sort of a, even though you guys hit high grade zones, at least there's an opportunity for, early, open pit type of operations. And are you guys thinking about that, with your exploration strategy?
I don't think right now. We haven't really thought about open pit. I mean, so far we're hitting high grade structurally controlled gold so far, and there is a component of disseminated gold as well. We've hit like 30 meters of about 0.3, 0.4 grams per ton. So there are zones within the intrusive rocks where we have disseminated gold. It's just so early days that getting into thinking about open pit, we're chasing the structures right now and trying to outline new structures. And so it's just early days. We've got a lot more exploration to do before we can, I think, start looking at that.
You guys you're assaying all the core, not just where you think you hit the high grade?
Yeah, no, we're doing top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, there is this style of low-grade disseminated gold mineralization, which is not associated with structures that we can see. There's no real fabric in the rock. It's just, it looks almost kind of like a magmatic system, almost kind of porphyry style. So it's interesting. There's an early gold story here, I think, that's developing that could be related to the diorites themselves, and then potentially later overprinted by this structurally controlled orogenic event. But again, like Francis said, very early days, and we're still trying to wrap our heads around what the actual system is genetically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think if it makes more sense to try to follow along strike, especially if you have a type of situation. If the disseminated mineralization is pervasive, if the disseminated low grade is pervasive enough, then it seems to me like your focus should be defining along strike rather than down dip.
Yeah, I think we've hit the disseminated mineralization in some holes, and say 30 meters at 0.3. When you compare it to 5 meters at 90 grams, it's just it's not as significant so far. And going down the road, I think we'll definitely try and test the disseminated model, and also we'd all love to put a deep wildcat into this thing and see what's down below. I think there's within the belt, the Troilus deposit is, I think, pretty well documented as an Archean porphyry, and so there are these types of deposits in this belt, and I think we're seeing early gold. Zach thinks we're seeing early gold within the intrusive rocks, so there is that potential, I think, but right now at this point we've been focusing on the higher grade component.
Mm-hmm. And on the the structure to the north of R1 that you think might be you know, your next vein to be defined. What kind of widths are you getting there? You know, even though I know it's still early.
So there's 2 holes into that on the same section, and they're both about 2.5. So I think it's 2 meters was the first intersect, and the last one on this drill program was 2.7 meters. And so it's really early. This one is along the intrusive volcanic contact, and so I think that really opens up a huge search space that we haven't tested a lot, and that we can follow that contact around. On this map, 20 RDD 21A, so we hit 2.66 meters at 33 grams, and that was also right along that intrusive volcanic contact. So I think there's quite a bit of potential there along that contact, which kind of makes sense. You know, usually the veins are along geological contact. So, you know, it's just early days. You know, that's definitely a target that I think needs some meters out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then switching to your properties in Alaska, both of those are wholly owned by you guys and not optioned out.
Yeah, the Tanacross project is 100% owned. That's the porphyry project in eastern Alaska, and then the Healy project is optioned from Newmont. So the option we have there is US $4 million in the ground over 4 years. To earn 70%, and it's a 70-30 joint venture with Newmont. There's no clawback, and there's full buy down on any dilution royalty. So very straightforward deal with them. This year we're likely to meet the earn in there. So I would suspect we might vest our 70% interest at the end of the summer.
Is that a project that they inherited from Goldcorp, or did they stake that themselves, Newmont?
They actually staked that themselves. The history of this project is really interesting. In 2010 and 11, Newmont carried out systematic blade sampling from around Fairbanks to the Yukon-Alaska border. 2 years of helicopter support stream sediment sampling. So not anything a junior could really take on, but this is Newmont style. When they go into a new terrain, they tend to just blade sample it completely. And there was a cluster of catchments that were anomalous in gold at Healy, and it was really their only target that they prioritized for follow-up. Happened to be on open ground and in the good pasture along kind of the major regional contact that hosts most gold mineralization there. So they staked the ground, and there was no mineral occurrences in the public domain, and there was no work filed with the state of Alaska on that ground prior to Newmont staking it. So this is a new gold system. Very similar to us finding Renault in Quebec. You know, these are greenfields discoveries, and then they did some follow-up sampling in 2012, 2013, and then in 2013 we were in a dark bear market there, and they just put it on the shelf, and then the claims had to be worked in 2018, and so they just didn't get the support to go back in themselves to continue doing that early stage exploration, and so it landed on the table available for option. We have a pretty good relationship with Newmont. 2 of our founders, including Francis McDonald and our chief geologist Scott Smits, both worked with Newmont for many years before starting Kenorland, and so we had a kind of a first look at it, and we jumped on the opportunity there to option it.
And so once you guys finish your earn-in, you'll own 70%. Is that what you said?
70, yeah, that's right.
And then presumably Newmont will contribute on a pro rata basis.
It depends on what the results are, really. I guess if the results are great, they might want to, and if not, then they might. Or maybe if they're great, they might not want to either. It's majors they have a lot of there's a lot of competition for their exploration dollars internally, I think. So we'll see what happens.
So do you guys have a continuation on the deal as far as you know, after you guys earn in, that there's going to be a next step, you know, per se, that you're going to be able to earn in if they earn in more if they don't contribute on a pro rata basis?
Yeah, that's right. If they don't contribute on pro rata, the non-contributing party is diluted on a straight line basis, and if they dilute below 10%, their interest converts to a royalty, which has a full buy down on it.
Gotcha. And then on Tenacross, how would you, I'm somewhat familiar with Casino and Coffee and Free Gold, which is Triumph, or it used to be anyway. I'm not sure who holds it now. I mean, it kind of sounds like the Triumph stuff, where gold, copper, gold. Kind of, I wouldn't call them smallish, but kind of deepish, I guess. What's your gut telling you there as far as what you have versus some of the other copper gold things that seem to be on that trend?
Yeah, I think Triumph Gold's a little bit different. There's kind of a gold rich, from my understanding, more of a gold porphyry system there. There's some skarns, some epithermal stuff happening as well. This Tenacross is really kind of a classic porphyry copper system, and Casino is similar, but it's more of I think there's a big breccia component to it as well. But Tenacross is really classic in terms of what we're seeing there. I think it ticks a lot of the boxes for myself personally. My background is in porphyry copper, but at East Taurus, we're looking at least 5 mineralized intrusions, so that's really good to see. One of those has a really well-developed quartz stockwork with carrying some significant grade, including gold in it. But you're seeing a lot of the classic styles of alteration and mineralization in that system. And I think the important thing is the multiple phases of mineralized intrusions. Generally, you want kind of a long-lived system. Here we're seeing we do have age dates on a lot of these that the USGS has taken, and there's about 68 to 73 million years of mineralization. So you're looking at over 5 million years of an active system. That's a really good indication that the system has some strength. And then of course the scale of the footprint there, 30 square kilometers. You can see on the bottom right here, this is the Taurus Bluff alteration footprint. I have Oy down here, the Bor complex in Serbia, Butte as well. So the footprint of the Taurus Bluff porphyry system is very significant, and it sits on that major regional structure, the Big Creek Fault System. That also sits on a major cross structure called the 60-mile Pica, whereas Casino sits on the Dip Creek. And where those arc perpendicular and arc parallel structures intersect is globally, the place you want to be if you're looking for significant porphyry systems. Same thing down in Chile. And so it ticks a lot of these boxes, and this is why Freeport was interested, and they committed a very large amount of money in 2018 and 2019, and really was their entry into Alaska was this project. It's unfortunate they couldn't stay with us. Obviously, we drilled quite a bit around the historic occurrences, East Taurus, West Taurus, and Bluff, and then we did a lot of regional exploration. The missing kind of next step would have been to do more drilling on these regional, more advanced stage exploration, then followed by drilling on these more regional target areas, because that's really what's been overlooked. I think, historically, once people get into an area of mineralization like East Taurus, West Taurus, and Bluff, every other explorer tends to kind of go back into the same area with their blinders on and not look outside of that. So, our approach was to add all this regional data and kind of think outside that and try to find new porphyry centers, which is exactly what we're doing here at South Taurus. But again, I mean, it can't be overstated that I think Freeport, one of the more globally significant copper producers, was obviously interested in this project for a reason.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, how much drilling has been done there, or is it mostly been shallow? Is that part of the issue?
Yeah, most of the drilling has been shallow at West Taurus and Bluff, and then East Taurus it was drilled down to about 400 meters depth. So one of the things we did with Freeport was put in some deeper holes at East Taurus, West Taurus, and Bluff. Bluff was just kind of a high-level porphyry system, intense quartz sericite pyrite alteration and deveining down to about 800 meters depth. So we don't really see an economic target there, although the indications that there is a system around that's huge. I mean, there's about 5 kilometers by 5 kilometers of hydrothermal quartz sericite pyrite alteration on the surface there, which is massive. West Taurus, we put some of the first deep holes in. It turns out to be more of a moly-rich porphyry, not much copper and gold there, but a distinct phase, which again adds to that complexity of the entire of the system in general. And then East Taurus, we put some deeper holes underneath that, and we did hit some kind of moderate grades similar to what they saw historically. But again, that was never really our objective. It was more to kind of step out, think more regionally and try to hit that, because that's really what hasn't been done on this property. And it's a common theme for discoveries when people go into an area that's been hit historically over and over in the same areas, and then kind of think outside the box, add some more regional and modern data. New things can certainly be found.
No thought of going back into Bluff and trying to hit deeper to see what kind of grades you might have when you're closer to the core.
I mean, we were like 800 to 900 meters deep into Bluff, and it was still an intense deveining and quartz sericite pyrite alteration. So it could be, quite a long ways to the center of a porphyry there. But again, I think it just, this system in particular is very complex. You're seeing various levels of erosion. East Taurus actually kind of the potassic alteration daylights at the surface, whereas Bluff again is incredibly high level. So it's I think South Taurus is our main focus here. We do think that that could be the center of mass. When you look at it geophysically, it kind of makes sense. It's got the right signature. Also, that conductivity feature goes down to the bottom of the survey. That's about 2 kilometers deep. And that's what you want to see at places like Resolution and Bingham when they do MT over those and ZTEM. Generally, those conductors are right to the bottom of the survey, and that's your big corridor of hydrothermal fluids coming up, altering all of that rock. So we're really excited about South Taurus. And then there's another target in the south of the property called Big Creek. It's got a geochemical footprint similar to that of East Taurus, copper, gold as well, and there's grab samples up over 1% copper and up to 1 gram per ton gold there. That has never been followed up on at all with any geophysics or prospecting or mapping. So we're hitting that area as well. That's down in the south end of the property here in the Mafic Volcanics. Historically, there's been no drilling on that either. So it's, there's potential for other discoveries. We're in a very complex, big intrusive complex here with multiple phases of mineralization over multiple generations. So it's, and this is a 40,000 hectare property. It's about 20 kilometers top to bottom. So this is not a small search space yet, but we're getting there. We've added, regionally, we've added ridge and spur soil sampling along with this TEM survey, which has given us a good indication of where to follow up. And then this year it's really kind of that follow-up exploration.
So Zach, this year you're gonna put some holes into South Taurus, or is it still surface work?
It's still surface work right now. We had some scheduling issues with geophysical contractors, and they had to delay the survey. So likely we probably won't be drilling this year. We were initially planning on that, but we're really not going to get all the data back until the drill season's over. So, I think this one might have to wait for another year.
Got it. And I'm surprised. I guess I'm surprised that Freeport hasn't come back, or somebody else stepped in asking you to option into this one with you.
Oh, yeah, no, we've had a lot of interest. There's definitely interest. We're not quite there to make a decision on what to do with this yet, but we'll see what the targets look like at the end of this year, and then we got all winter to kind of make a call on what we're going to do next.
And how easy is it to access this area?
This one, there's the main base here is Tok. It's right on the Alaska Highway where the road splits down to Anchorage, goes up to Fairbanks. Tok has 40-mile air. It's a big airfield there. So normally we take fixed wing kind of bush plane Cessna. It's about a 10-minute flight. There's 3 airstrips on the property actually. One of them right at our camp there. Otherwise, there's a 70-kilometer long winter trail, which is a little bit more challenging, but you can bring in, like we did mow our drills in and out on that trail in 2019. So it's definitely usable, but it's again kind of a short hop from Tok and a fixed wing. So that's what we generally do to get in and out of there.
Gotcha. Let me throw it back to Campbell to see if there's any additional questions from the audience.
Great, thank you.
Did we cover? Someone wanted a little bit more information on Jacoby and Hunter.
Right. Yeah, we don't have any, we haven't released anything on Jacoby for a long time. It's again option to Sumitomo. It's been over 2 years of doing that systematic till sampling. The till is really deep there, and it's covered by glacial lacustrine sediments, so lake sediments. So you actually have to drill through the lake sediments to sample the till. It's not easy. It's not cheap, but we've been persistent, and we started with a property-wide survey, followed up by phase 2, and then followed that up by phase 3 to get more definition. And again, we've come up with a coherent anomaly in the north end of the property. So I would expect we'll be putting out some sort of press release in the coming months to kind of highlight the results over the last few years of exploration there, and hopefully, if Sumitomo agrees, we'll work up that drill target on the north end of the property, and ideally we drill test it maybe at the end of this year or early next year. But all that is subject to Sumitomo's approval, as they are funding the exploration there, but we are the operator. And Hunter, we recently staked that one last year. We did some sonic drill for till there just to confirm some of the historical results. Historically, we've done a huge amount of geochemical data compilation from historical till surveys in the Abitibi, and there were some of the highest grade gold and till results from it within the Hunter project area. And there was, very little diamond drilling. The property is completely covered with deep till there. Geologically, you're in an interesting environment. It's a felsic package surrounding a synvolcanic pluton that's very similar to the Horn area down there at Noranda, and then Normetal, which was a over 10 million ton VMS, and there was a mine sits in the Normetal caldera there. Cell Bay up here as well. And Chutel is another system in the Abitibi, and so these felsic, but potentially calderas are very prospective for gold-rich VMSs, and so the VMS obviously can give you a conductivity signature. So that's why right now we're flying, or we will be really soon, 1,000 line kilometer property-wide VTEM survey to help us kind of identify hopefully conductors, and then the next step would be following up on those conductors with either till sampling or potentially diamond drilling if it's a really obvious target. So that's what we're doing on those.
Thank you. As we wrap up, can you just take us back again to upcoming milestones, 6, 8, 12 months, let's say, a budget for that? What should we expect? And as we close, anything you want to say regarding why we might want to entertain becoming a shareholder this summer?
Definitely. Well, the biggest milestones that are going to really move the value of the company are obviously the maiden diamond drill program at Healy, that 4,000 meters that's being carried out. So expect results sometime in the fall there. And then, of course, the 20,000 meter drill program we just kicked off on the Frotep project. It cannot be understated how significant this is. This is a brand new discovery. So far, hit rate's been incredible. We found a lot of really high grade gold and very economic intercepts through these vein corridors, and now we're putting a significant amount of drilling into them. So I would expect that we will find more high-grade gold here. You know, and this story will develop dramatically. So it's you know, a very exciting time for the company. Obviously, it's very exciting to make an initial discovery, but then to actually, you know, start to advance it and really start to understand what the system's doing geologically and take it to the next step is great for the value of the company as well. So those are the two big drill programs that we're carrying out this summer. Those are obviously the highest impact. In terms of the share price, you know, there's I'm sure if you look at it, you'll see we've been you know, our high was when we released the results on R1 at the end of May. We went up to $1.34. Haven't even looked at the share price as we've been on the call, but yesterday I think we were at 83 cents. So, you know, we are at lows here. This is a very good time, I think, to take a position in Kenorland.
Great, thank you, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Please share your feedback on your way out or in our follow-up email. And Zach, Francis, what's the best way to reach you guys? Do you have an email?
Email Zach or Zach at Kenorlandminerals.com or Francis at Kenorlandminerals.com. So thanks everyone for tuning in today, this morning. Cheers.
Right on. Bye.
Thanks.